Somewhere, a young man with red hair lay on the verge of death. He whispered to himself, "What a beautiful dream. It's so beautiful that I want to destroy it, swallow it whole, and wipe it off the face of the earth." Unfortunately, before he could finish his sentence, a blonde-haired young man stared down at him and calmly declared, "Finally, I've managed to put an end to you." A pathetic end truly fitting for such a vile villain. With that, he turned his back and walked away. As it turned out, this was the ending of a novel, and just moments ago, Nam Woo-hyun had orchestrated the death of his story's most powerful villain at the hands of the protagonist, all to wrap up his series. Even though this was the ending many readers wanted, to him, it was nothing more than garbage. It obviously wasn't the ending he had intended to write, but for the sake of money, he had been forced to do it. Just as the final words were written, a strange sound suddenly echoed. Nam Woo-hyun trembled in surprise. No one is supposed to be here at this hour. He headed toward the door to check, but there was nothing there, just a silent void. Feeling quite uneasy, Nam Woo-hyun tried to reassure himself that it was probably just some drunkard passing by. As he turned to go back to his bedroom, a strange piece of paper fell at his feet. Written on it were the words, "This is a gift, make a request when you need it," and before he could even think about asking for a TV or a refrigerator, the paper suddenly emitted a burst of dark energy. Arson the villain appeared before his very eyes. Nam Woo-hyun gasped in astonishment, "What? Why are you here?" Arson didn't answer right away, only flashing a bitter smile. He spoke, "So this is how I die, after all the time and effort I put in. 10 years just to take revenge on those who destroyed my family, my loved ones, my friends, and my lover. I lost everything, yet even though I let go of it all, I still ended up in failure. Nam Woo-hyun, you should be the one who understands that better than anyone. So anything more I say would just be a waste of breath." Nam Woo-hyun started to say something, but Arson cut him off, "So please." At that moment, the dark energy from earlier engulfed his entire body, and with a helpless smile he continued, "Please help me, only you can change this fate. I will be watching over you." Right after that, Nam Woo-hyun felt like he was being pulled into a chaotic mess, and he slipped into the body of the red-haired young man. Gradually he opened his eyes. He sat up, scratched his head, and muttered, "Ugh, did I just pass out?" Suddenly the layout of the room looked strange, leaving him confused. He looked at his wrist and wondered what was up with this outfit. He stepped off the bed, walked over to the mirror, and mumbled, "What's going on?" Observing himself, he saw a bizarre head of red hair and a haunting, bewitching smile. The moment he looked into those cold, fox-like eyes, he realized he seemed to be in the body of Arson Adele, the most powerful villain in his own novel. Furthermore, the assassination would take place in just a few days. The half-demon blood of the Arson family, descendants of a demon, had helped them become one of the greatest families in the kingdom. But the family had fallen due to the 6 major families, leaving only Adele. That was his story and the reason he became a villain. He had tried to take revenge but ultimately failed, which was why he had brought Nam Woo-hyun, his creator, here. In a few days, he would be killed by the knights of the 6 major families, and feeling helpless, he activated the status window. Adele was one of the strongest characters in the novel, but he still couldn't compare to the special abilities Nam Woo-hyun had created for the protagonists. The status window appeared, half-demon race, chaos setting, swap talent, 1 dark attribute, killing intent, mana control, mana, 341. No matter how charismatic the villains were, Nam Woo-hyun had never intended for them to defeat the protagonists. But now that he couldn't control his mana, the setting he had created to make Adele terrifying had backfired. Tearing his hair out, he noticed the paper on the bed. "What's this? Wait, that's the paper that appeared before I transmigrated into the novel. I completely forgot about it, but even if I don't know if it'll help. I can't be picky." He remembered it said to check it when he needed to, but when he looked at the paper, it was completely blank. He cursed it under his breath, "Damn it, is this how it ends for me?" Suddenly, a few lines appeared on the paper. "Author, if you don't know how to use the gift, answer yes or no." Nam Woo-hyun trembled and muttered, "You jerk, who are you?" The paper displayed write yes or no on the paper. He was annoyed. "What now? Are you messing with me? Fine, I'll do as you say." He wrote yes, and the paper explained how to trade information. "I will answer anything written on this paper. Some questions will require a fee." Nam Woo-hyun was shocked. "Trading information, it knows everything I ask." The paper explained, "The more important the question, the higher the price." He suggested, "Tell me how to return to the real world." The paper quickly refused, "Impossible." He cursed it in frustration, "Damn it, as expected, it's useless." He decided then, show me how to use Adele's mana and attributes. As soon as he finished writing, mana began to radiate from his whole body. The paper announced, the question requires no fee. Mana control and how to use the attributes have been comprehended by your body. Do you accept? He answered, yes. He smiled as he felt the mana. The first attribute is darkness, the ability to neutralize the opponent's 5 senses. When he activated it, a black hole appeared on his hand. He was happy. It worked, it's usually larger, but this is fine too. Next is killing intent, the power to suppress opponents with aura. After using it, he succeeded again. Trained knights and soldiers can resist it, but this is still effective against ordinary people. He thought that now he just needed to comprehend the swap ability, the power to trade places with any object, the ultimate assassination skill. When he activated it, a magic circle appeared beneath his feet. He was satisfied, though he could only swap within a 20-meter range, which was too weak compared to the novel, if I practice. He looked forward and decided to try it with a suit of armor. He used swap. He thought his body would merge into the armor, but instead he was thrown backward. A loud noise rang out, and he landed flat on his butt. Damn it, I guess I can't get it right on the first try. Outside, the sound of hooves and voices drew closer. The soldiers shouted, hurry up, this time we must kill him. But Nam Luhyun remained determined, I'll do it 10, no, 100 times if I have to, I will survive. Meanwhile, at the arson estate, a group of people walked in. Seeing so many people, 2 servants became anxious, a tall man. His eyes filled with killing intent looked down and asked, where is he? The man was Count Leon, captain of the Peltz Knights. The servant stammered, he's inside this room. Inside, Adele heard the commotion but said nothing. Leon wondered about his condition. The servant reported, he hasn't moved at all for the past few days. Hearing this, Leon became even more curious. Without hesitation, he kicked the door open and barged in. Adele sat nonchalantly on the guest chair. So, you've arrived, I assume you don't intend to let a kid survive, right? Leon scoffed with disdain, how ridiculous, finish him. A soldier immediately obeyed and stepped forward. Yes, sir. Not one to be bullied, Adele quickly used swap. The soldier's sword glowed, leaving him confused. Adele used swap again, teleporting right in front of the soldier, and stabbed him in the throat, blood splattered everywhere. Leon was surprised to see him take down a soldier in an instant. Folding his arms, he ordered, what are you doing, charge. The soldiers obeyed and immediately rushed forward. Adele quickly darted out of the room, threw a dagger on the ground, and used swap to teleport. His body landed safely. He decided he had to reach the arson forest. Leon saw him escaping and commanded, he's running away, chase him down. In the arson forest, Adele was running for his life, gasping for air. He calculated as he ran, even if I'm lucky enough to escape the knights and leave the territory, I won't survive, so I'll go through the portal in this forest to the demon realm. The demon realm was currently suffering heavy losses from the war with humanity. If I show enough talent, they might accept me, but the problem is. Adele stopped to rest, then suddenly heard a noise. He was suspicious. Have they caught up to me already? Leon's soldiers had entered the forest, and he ordered them to split up and search for him. Adele hid behind a tree and observed, the problem is I don't know exactly where the portal is. It must be near here. As he was walking, he had the bad luck of stepping on a branch, making a sound. He instantly became anxious. Leon's ears were as sharp as a hound's. Upon hearing the noise, he unleashed his power, devastating the forest. With killing intent, he shouted, you slippery bastard, so this is where you are hiding. But before that, Adele had used his power to escape. I have 1 or 2 swaps left, I have to find that portal quickly. Damn it, there has to be a way. He wrote on the paper, tell me the exact location of the portal to the demon realm in the arson forest. The paper replied, that information is not free. Pay with 100 gold coins or an artifact of relic grade or higher. Asked to pay such a large sum of gold, Adele was bewildered, you jerk, where am I supposed to get that? As soon as he finished speaking, a shockwave headed straight for him, knocking him hard to the ground in pain. Leon stood before him holding a sharp sword, you're running away because you want to live. Adele, today you will die here, whether you like it or not. Even though he was beaten until he coughed up blood, he remained defiant, don't make me laugh. I'm not going to die, he thought there was still one way. Live or die, I might as well risk it. Seeing him like this, Leon wondered, you're still resisting to the end, after all, you are the head of the house. Adele gripped his sword, annoyed. Why are you guys acting so noble, when you're just a bunch of grown men ganging up to catch a kid? Or why don't you try being a nanny instead? I guess that might be too hard for you to do on your own. Adele's taunts infuriated Leon. I intended to send you off without pain, but now I'm going to pierce your heart with this sword bestowed by the Count. Leon raised his sword and lunged. Die. Adele smirked with a sense of triumph. This was the moment. As Leon lunged with his sword, Adele quickly held up the paper to block him. Words appeared on the paper. Thanks for the payment, it's been evaluated as just enough. Surpassing the required price, I will lead you to the gate that opens to the demon world in the forest. Adele wore a smug smile. Leon was left bewildered. What? Beside him a portal materialized. Adele immediately activated Permutation 1, and lunged toward the portal. Startled, Leon shouted stop. But Adele kept running, thinking, that twisted jerk, I can't believe he actually chased me all the way here. Upon seeing the portal, he cheered, found it. Leon quickly snapped a tree trunk, determined, I won't let you go anywhere. The trunk flew straight toward Adele, but just as it was about to hit, he was on the verge of vanishing. Adele smiled and said to Leon, see you next time. Before leaving, he gave Leon a special wave that drove the man absolutely insane. Damn it, he's already reached the demon world. After arriving in the demon world, Adele chewed on some dried meat and wondered, how much time has passed since I left? After waking up from the portal, I found myself in a dungeon. It's an artificial one created by someone to secretly study magic engineering. He was puzzled as to why there was dried meat and a stone bed in a place like this, had it been left by the guardian of the treasure. Not to mention the red barrier blocking the path ahead and the stone guardian standing watch. I know which high-ranking clan created this place, but it's full of strange things. Just looking at that guardian is terrifying. If I charged in now, I'd probably get crushed. Suddenly the paper began to glow, catching Adele's attention. The paper read, this is the only time you will be forgiven for offering items you don't actually own as currency for exchange. If you do not comply, the information exchange will not be completed. Adele broke into a cold sweat thinking, this guy is seriously insane, so he's letting it slide this time. Suddenly he spotted something odd, maybe that stone wall looks unusual. I can actually sense these things. Suddenly a voice echoed, you have no rights. Hearing that, Adele thought, I guess that's the barrier deactivation function. What a shame. He began to calculate, I need to find another way out of here. The stone fell from the guardian. If it really was just a stone, maybe things would go his way. He immediately used Permutation 1, and swapped positions with the stone to escape from there. He cheered yes it worked, but suddenly a monster let out a loud roar. In some kingdom, where the sun and moon formed an eclipse, someone splashed a bucket of water and scolded, you idiot, why did you spill it here? The person continuously berated the child. The person standing high above was the head of the bear's family in the Crete demon world. He walked in saying, it's quite lively, perhaps because my daughter is about to raid the mid-level secret realm. It's truly troublesome. If she succeeds, she'll gain the right to enter Satan. But even if I ordered her to fail, she would only fight back. Only by entering Satan can she take revenge on the humans who killed her mother. Can that weakling survive in a place crawling with ferocious demons? Crete sighed helplessly. Suddenly a servant ran in and called out, Master, something has happened. Crete was annoyed. What's all this fuss about? The servant bowed awkwardly, I apologize. We received word that an unidentified person is in the secret realm. Crete was curious, inside the secret realm? The servant continued, yes, there are no signs indicating they opened the door to enter, so everyone is very confused. Crete wondered, have you identified them yet? The servant replied, they triggered a function that only you can use from the inside, but we don't know who it is. Crete tapped the table deep in thought, perhaps he was forcibly summoned through the portal created during the war between humans and demons. He commanded, he's going to die anyway, no need to worry, you all just focus on preparing for my daughter's exam. The servant complied, understood. Crete watched from the outside, musing, if everything goes smoothly, I might have a useful pawn of course if he doesn't die in the secret realm. Meanwhile Adele was pulled back into the room, falling hard to the ground with a shrill scream. He was confused, what was that? A wolf, I almost died there. The wolf continuously attacked the door, making him anxious. So even if the barrier disappears, I'll still run into trouble on the outside. Suddenly he realized, wait, isn't that also made of stone? He decided, alright, let's give it a try. Adele quickly used Permutation 1, and swapped positions with the wolf. He cheered success. The wolf was left confused, howling inside the room and trying to break out. Adele ran off, thinking, he'll die if he does that. Now I just need to find the exit. As he was running, he stopped in his tracks. As a mantis appeared in front of him, this probably wasn't good. Every stage has a mission, and this one is even more dangerous than the wolf. He smirked triumphantly. Just as I predicted, they are just mindless objects. This is feasible as long as I have permutation 1. He bolted forward and stopped before the final door. A voice echoed, "Welcome to the final destination." Adele was confused. What? You're welcoming an intruder? What the hell is this? It looks like the boss's room. Is anyone in there? Inside was another monster, a Death Knight. Adele swallowed nervously. Judging by his power, he seems to be on par with the Death Knight. The Death Knight spoke, "I express my respect for your arrival here." Adele immediately used permutation 1, right as the knight finished speaking, and swapped him to the outside. Adele greedily approached. "I'm a treasure chest, it's bigger than I thought, and it even has an ornament carved with a black dragon." Suddenly he realized, wait a minute, a black dragon ornament, I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. He was curious. The black dragon, among the highest-ranking noble clans, there's sloth, lust, gluttony, wrath, envy, greed, wickedness, and pride represented by a black dragon, bears the 7th deadly sin, pride. Thinking of that, he gritted his teeth and cursed, "Damn it, if he catches me, I'm a dead man." Without hesitation, Adele opened the chest. "It's come to this, let's empty the box and run. There must be something useful to help me escape this place." As soon as it opened, magic power flooded out. Sticking to his face, it forcibly burrowed into his stomach. Adele was in agony, clutching his stomach and throwing up, then screaming in pain. His head felt like it was going to explode, and blood splattered everywhere. At that moment, something hideous lay on the ground. Adele gasped, shivering and confused. "How long have I been unconscious? Did my left eye pop out?" He checked his reflection in his sword, and realized it was the prideful eye. Could that liquid that splattered on me earlier be? A status board appeared. Race, half-demon attribute, chaotic talent, permutation 1, features, interest, absorb traits, focused killer, darkness, mana control, prideful eye. Mana 341, dynamic visual acuity increased to the extreme, activated after destroying an enemy. Having gained new abilities, Adele smirked, "With this, I'll never lose to those weaker than me again." Not bad. Deciding to come to the demon world was truly the right call. After finishing, he decided that everything necessary was in his hands. Now it's time to get out of here. I only paid attention to the box, but there's a door behind it. What should I do? I've made quite a bit of noise, so there must be many soldiers waiting outside. If I go out, I'm done for. Do I need to kneel faster than the speed of light to save my life? But if they find out I belong to the arson clan, they'll kill me even if I beg. I have to hide this crest first. The Death Knight roared in anger, opened the door. Hearing the noise, Adele turned around, and saw the Death Knight repeatedly attacking the door. "His Highness is coming, open the door." Adele was confused. What His Highness? Wait, could it be that the reason they welcomed me with dried meat in a stone bed was that this place was created by high-ranking clans for testing? He wrote on the paper, "Who is the owner of this place?" He thought, I've stolen the reward they were supposed to get, they'll carve me into pieces right on the spot. He asked, "Tell me who is closest to me." The paper replied, "That information has a price, pay with an item worth 100 gold coins or an artifact of relic grade or higher." Adele wondered, what can I pay that price with? He decided mana, I'll pay with 100 points of my maximum mana. He thought it would be very difficult, but after surviving, he could recover. The paper accepted evaluation satisfactory. I will take 100 of your mana, author. The person closest to you is Renee, the youngest daughter of Crete Bears, head of the Bears family. At that moment, Renee stepped in. It made Adele anxious. Damn it, my life is over. According to what he knew, this was a territory created by the Bears family to train their youngest daughter. The prideful eye was definitely her reward for completing the territory. Renee, who held enough power in the Bears family to slice through guardians like butter, was now standing right in front of him. Renee casually decapitated the Death Knight, then looked over at him, making him break into a cold sweat. "All right, I can do this," he told himself. Renee pointed her sword at him and asked annoyedly, "Who are you?" Adele quickly knelt respectfully. "Congratulations to Lady Renee on completing the final territory. You have truly become worthy." Renee said irritably, "Explain." Adele broke into a cold sweat and explained, "The master ordered me to serve as your bodyguard." He thought, our eyes met, but it seems she didn't recognize the prideful eye. Renee asked suspiciously, "You?" Adele happily affirmed, "Yes, even though I might not look like it, my skills aren't bad at all." He was determined to use her to escape. Renee laughed. Adele was anxious. Does she not believe me? He immediately used his ability to make Renee believe him, which startled her. He held her hand and smirked. How is that? I believe I can be useful in protecting Lady Renee. Renee angrily pulled her hand away, leaving Adele confused. What's wrong? Is she angry? She turned away to consider. Adele was secretly relieved. Lucky she overlooked what I've done. He said, let's go, please go see the master immediately, he's waiting for you. Renee agreed, fine. Adele wanted to leave first, then I'll go take care of other missions the master entrusted me with. I need to get out of here as soon as possible. He swung the door wide open and said, I definitely won't be late. Suddenly Renee stopped in her tracks, making Adele feel confused, as she looked ahead and called out, Father. Crete was overflowing with murderous intent, smiling. Adele was surprised. Damn it, why is Crete here? If he sees the prideful eye, he'll kill me for sure. Why isn't he reacting at all? Crete asked Renee curiously, have you successfully completed the territory? Renee replied, yes I have. Crete turned away and said, I understand, follow me. Adele was curious, follow me, what is he thinking? He quickly followed Crete thinking, I can't just get rid of them all. I also have nothing left to offer the paper, which means I can't use its power. He followed Crete to the palace, so this is the bear's mansion. Crete stopped and commanded, go back to your room. His subordinates heard this and complied, understood, my lord. Crete said to Adele, as for you, wait here, I'll call you later. Adele was secretly relieved, he's leaving me alone, is this my chance? No, of course not. In the office, Renee stood before Crete, and he wondered, you've completed my final mission. You must enter the Satan training area. Renee affirmed, yes. Crete pondered for a moment and then asked, putting that aside, how is he? Renee thought back and affirmed, he's strong. Hearing that, Crete was amused, I see that's interesting. He stood up and looked outside, since you've proven your worth, you may go to Satan as you wish. Renee cheered, thank you, father. Crete thought contentedly, I thought he would die right after breaking into the territory, but he survived, even managed to take the prideful eye, and I have Renee's opinion on him. He's definitely worth using. Adele waited outside, anxious, how much longer do I have to wait? In the dim light of the castle, two men appeared. The subordinate bowed respectfully and invited Adele this way. He opened the door, reporting, I've brought him master. As he stepped into the room, Crete's face appeared like a demon from hell. Adele was immediately filled with fear, his mind in a state of confusion. The head of the family, what on earth is he thinking? He bowed his head, maintaining a cautious attitude, terrified that a single careless move could cost him his life. Why are you letting me live, my lord? Crete flashed a grotesque smile, his voice growling fiercely, you bastard. He unleashed his power, the sound echoing through the dark castle. So you were quite skilled at deceiving my daughter, weren't you? The sudden attack caught Adele off guard, pain rippled through his body, and he could only grit his teeth and endure it. Under Crete's overwhelming power, he couldn't hold his ground and collapsed to the ground. He shouted, you have no intention of killing me. Hearing this, Crete withdrew his power and smirked. Emma spared, Adele gasped, inhaling deeply, his body still trembling. He thought, demonic energy is truly terrifying. Looking like a supreme being, Crete gave a satisfied smirk and said, you're quite quick-witted, aren't you? Looking at Adele, he continued, what is your name? Adele, still gripped by fear, dared not delay and replied immediately, I am Adele. Hearing that name, Crete seemed to grow even angrier, Adele. Once again, Adele was suppressed by the man's power, unable to understand why he was so furious. His body was weak and racked with pain. He asked, what do you want from me, my lord? Crete commanded, his voice sounding like a puppet master, open your mouth. A look of satisfaction crossed his malevolent face. You just need to continue what you told my daughter. A horrifying creature slithered deep into Adele's throat. It felt as though his sanity was being invaded. Crete increased the pressure, causing Adele excruciating pain. A dark, chilling voice rang out, if you have any other thoughts, this poison will tear your heart to shreds. Adele screamed in agony, filled with despair. Crete turned and walked away, saying, I will prepare a place for you, wait until I call. Crete seemed indifferent to Adele, who was writhing in pain on the ground, growing weaker. Perhaps the threat had successfully taken root, he had been spared. Crete dismissed him, get out. Adele gasped for air, unable to believe what had just happened. Damn it, what just went down in that dark castle? He was led to a room. The minion said slowly, you will stay here from now on. Adele stood in the middle of the spacious room, pondering why he had appeared here. I'd become a dependent of this family because of Creet's will. The minion bowed goodbye, please rest comfortably. Adele remained bewildered that he had been spared from death. Living in a place as comfortable as this, I should be grateful he let me live, but I feel like I'm being completely used. He sat down on the bed, satisfied with his progress. Well, I've gained partial recognition from Creet, this might actually turn into a good situation. But above all, that creature was still lying deep inside his body. Adele gripped his chest, feeling the life of the foreign object. He resolved, I must remove this thing. He thought firmly, it has to work. After using his power to force the object out of his body, he cheered in joy, I did it. Just as I thought, it's an inanimate object. Watching the creature sleep soundly, unaware of the world, he thought, if I kill it, he'll realize it immediately, so what should I do now? Adele was startled when he saw the thing open its eyes. He gradually realized it woke up because the mana being supplied from his body was cut off. He immediately dropped a bead of his own blood for it. Eat this. While it was blissed out from being fed mana, he said helplessly, so I have no other choice but to soothe it like this. He urged, go back to sleep quickly. Adele fell onto the soft bed, exhausted, and sighed, finally, I can relax. I wonder how much of that trap on my neck has been removed. I'm about to pass out. The status window appeared. Half-demon race, chaos attribute, swap talent level 1 upgraded to level 2. Traits, obsession, focus, darkness killing intent, mana control, proud eyes. Mana 341 reduced to 241. Looking at the numbers, Adele carefully observed, I should double check this. After finishing, he was satisfied. Swap level 1 reached level 2, but the amount of mana is the problem. Compared to the protagonists, it's just a grain of sand in the desert. How can I increase my mana? After thinking for a long time, he found a way. Alright, there's that method. Renee appeared with a cold, gloomy, and soulless expression. I don't like that. Adele asked in confusion, he thought helplessly. It's been 3 days since I was assigned as Renee's guard. He followed behind, observing. She always reacted coldly. Looking at her back, he fell into deep thought. When she was young, she had a radiant personality, but after losing her mother to humans, she changed. As the author, I feel guilty. From a distance, a man shouted, Renee, Adele, the head of the house is calling for both of you. Adele was startled, perhaps still haunted by the previous incident. Following the call, he and Renee arrived before Creet. He understood the reason the head of the family had called them. It was certainly about Renee entering Satan. Even though Renee hoped to go because she had succeeded in raiding the territory, Creet did not allow it. He calmly explained, Satan is not an easy place. With your current abilities, you will die after a while without being able to properly avenge your mother. The terrifying energy radiating from Renee made Adele fearful. He regretted being there. Creet continued, however, if you take him as your guard, I will allow you to enter. Both of them were startled, unable to believe what they had just heard. Renee shook her head and refused, no. Adele wondered if she hated him that much. He recalled that Satan was the school of the demon realm, a place gathering promising young talents. They were constantly in conflict with the Royal Academy, where the protagonists studied. In that setting, many students, including Renee, died. It was the worst place where death was like a ticking time bomb. Seeing Renee's tenacious expression, Adele wondered, I don't understand why she's trying to go to such a place. But he negated his initial thought, replacing it with a firm conviction, no, that's the best place to gather forces. I know most of the major events that occur between the Royal Academy and Satan. A risky thought flashed, yeah, let's try it. He hurriedly accepted Creet's request, but added, however, I have one request. Looking at Creet's stern face, Adele was slightly hesitant. If I'm also dragged there, I should take whatever I can. He clearly proposed, I request something related to mana. Creet chuckled triumphantly as if he had already secured the win. Oh ho, I thought you would ask me to remove that thing. Adele trembled, afraid that the secret about the parasite would be discovered. Fortunately, Creet had not realized the parasite was no longer inside him. Renee looked at him with suspicious eyes. Creet immediately approved, you arrogant bastard, that request isn't difficult, I will grant it. Creet ordered Renee, you may leave now. Renee bowed respectfully, yes. She stepped toward the door but glanced back, her eyes looking deadly. Feeling that terrifying power, he thought she hated the idea of going with him that much. In the room, only Adele and Creet remained. He wondered what the man would give him, a mana potion, an artifact wouldn't be bad either. Crete spoke, it's a treasure that members of the family can be sensitive to, so I sent my daughter away. Adele was surprised to hear that, a family heirloom. Crete unleashed his power, I know your mana is very low and you will die in my daughter's place, so I can do this much for you. He emitted a bizarre sound, come closer, I will pass on the mana cultivation technique of the bear's family. Adele was surprised to learn the secret of this family, a mana cultivation technique. Crete's voice echoed throughout the room, O demon god, please grant this servant clarity in the chaotic flow. Join us rightful challenges and do not let thousands of demons starve, but do not lead us into temptation. If you do so, your name shall be honored. Adele felt his sanity being manipulated by the power and he knelt respectfully before Crete. Looking at his appearance, the man said with satisfaction, an ordinary person would have lost their mind after hearing the spell. You truly are an interesting fellow. With this cultivation technique, mana will be granted to you directly by the demon god, so you will achieve what you desire. Adele tried to resist, thinking in confusion, the demon god. Crete continued, however, it seems your family has connections to the 7 deadly sins. Adele answered in confusion, sorry. Crete flashed a grotesque smile, sneering with contempt, regardless, I have now planted the parasite in you, so it doesn't matter if you are a spy. Adele heard this, his face blank. The information I wrote, the family has connections to the 7 deadly sins, I don't remember creating such a setting. Crete spoke, you may go now. Adele answered, yes. In the wonderful atmosphere of the forest, he sat to practice. He decided to practice here because his mana might spiral out of control. He adapted to the dark power boiling within his body. O demon god, he gradually realized, once I accept the demonic energy of the demon god, I will no longer be able to use human mana. I don't have any other choice anyway. From somewhere, a deadly sound rang out, you are a half-breed. Adele was bewildered and surprised by the thing appearing before his eyes. He stuttered, don't tell me that creature has come to life. It said, I don't think you carry the blood of that child. It seems you carry the blood of a filthy traitor. Adele was startled by the massive energy. He looked at it and asked, are you the demon god? The sound in the space replied, indeed, it seems the world calls me the god of pride. Adele asked, thinking he knew the answer, do you intend to kill me? The creature explained, if I wanted to kill you, you would have died the moment you opened your mouth. For some reason, I don't want to kill you. You seem to be consumed by the same sin as I am. I feel a strange sense of empathy with you. I will bestow a mark upon you, you who walk the same path as I do. This mark proves you can use my power, you arrogant traitor. Make sure you don't let pride cause you to lose your sanity. Adele held out his hand, feeling the power being absorbed, his mind in a state of confusion. I have borrowed the power of a demon god. It looks like I just earned 3 more lives thanks to this mark. But the mark is a tattoo, soon my whole body will be covered in tattoos. He had no idea that someone behind the tree had witnessed everything. Feeling someone watching him, he turned around. He saw the figure of Renee. He thought fearfully, why is she here? Did she eavesdrop on us? Renee suddenly called out, Dark Priest. Adele was surprised, thinking what? A month had passed since he received the mark from the demon god. He looked at the data table, half-demon race, chaos attribute, swap talent level 2. Traits, obsession, focus, darkness killing intent, mana control, proud eyes. Mana 341-1035. Adele was intrigued and satisfied. I've practiced diligently, I didn't expect my mana to triple in such a short time, perhaps thanks to the 2 traits of obsession and focus. In a few more years, I'll be able to surpass the heirs of the 6 major families in the human world. With my current strength, I can even conquer that hidden area. Looking at Renee, he thought helplessly. But first, why is she practicing in front of my house instead of at the training grounds? He called out to her, catching her attention, excuse me miss. Renee bowed respectfully, yes. He thought that it was good she was no longer avoiding him, but he feared she was misunderstanding him as a priest. In this world, only a dark priest could communicate with the demon god. It's better she doesn't hear what I said to the demon god, but if Renee treats me like a superior, bad rumors will spread in the family. He spoke up, Miss, she answered immediately, yes. Adele slowly expressed, Miss, I don't know what you are thinking, but I request that you treat me as you did before. Renee answered in confusion, but. He continued, I am only following the head of the family's orders to protect you. Please treat me comfortably. She hesitated in that case. Then she turned and ordered, bring me some water. Adele was surprised, huh? Renee stopped, You told me to treat you comfortably. I'm tired and thirsty after training. He thought he had achieved his goal, but something felt wrong. As expected of the arrogant family, she changed her attitude really fast. Renee raised her voice to urge him, hurry up. He replied, yes. Adele reluctantly accepted, perhaps I have to do whatever she asks. Standing beside Renee, holding a sharp sword. He thought he needed to quickly conquer that territory, but Renee wouldn't leave him alone. I barely have any time left, I must act before the protagonist surpasses the demon realm. I need that treasure to survive in Satan. He called out, Miss. Then he slowly asked, how is your preparation for entering Satan going? Renee was surprised. Why are you suddenly asking that? He explained so she wouldn't be suspicious, because you will have to face all kinds of vicious people there, I'm only asking out of concern for you. She replied distractedly, I've packed everything necessary. He continued to ask, are you sure? As she put items into her basket, why don't you go back and check everything thoroughly just to be sure? He persuaded, later, if you discover you forgot something important, I don't want you to run into trouble. Renee looked at him skeptically and said bluntly, what are you trying to say? Get to the point. Adele immediately denied it, finding an excuse. I only said that because I'm worried about you, after all, I am your escort. She seemed to see through his true nature and blurted out, liar. Where do you intend to go behind my back? Adele thought angrily, damn it, she didn't fall for it. Renee said in a gloomy voice, do you hate me that much? Adele cursed under his breath, damn it. He tried hard to justify it, finding a reason. Actually, I heard there is a territory around this area, so I intended to conquer it. Please understand, that is only for your safety. Inside his head, he pleaded, please believe this reason. After a terrifying silence, Renee said, now I remember what I forgot. Adele was as happy as if he had found gold. Then why don't you go back? She interrupted, start moving. The words were like a bucket of cold water doused on Adele. He asked mechanically, excuse me, what do you mean? She replied, I haven't finished warming up yet. I will go with you to that territory. If it's nearby, we can finish it today, right? Adele was bewildered. Miss, Renee raised her voice to urge him, let's go, where is that territory? An image full of dread and an atmosphere of death, Adele said, that is the Eternal Territory. The Eternal Territory was once ruled by necromancers, but now it was full of soldiers turned into vengeful spirits. After the necromancers were wiped out in the war between humans and demons, this place became desolate. After a long silence, Renee whispered, I know that place well. Just mentioning the name of the territory was enough to make Renee uneasy. Perhaps that place is at least a middle upper level territory. By now, the number of soldiers has certainly increased. Adele thought anyway, having Renee's help isn't bad. But the problem is that moving together will make escaping the mansion even harder. If the escape is exposed, the news will reach Crete immediately. After thinking for a while, he tried to reassure her. Miss Renee, if that's a burden, why don't you not go? He continued, if the head of the family knows you left without permission. Before he could finish his sentence, Renee replied, it's fine. She continued, I know a secret escape route. Having said that, Renee led Adele through the edge of the forest. They arrived at the ruins of an ancient city wall. Upon arriving, she pointed to an arched hole close to the ground, surrounded by dense green grass that blocked most of the way and said, here. Adele praised her, you seem familiar with this place, don't you? He silently judged, it seems she often sneaks out. Adele told Renee, let's go before we get discovered. She agreed, all right. After passing through the shortcut, a majestic mountain landscape appeared before their eyes. Below was barren ground and gravel. A gloomy, cold atmosphere blanketed the scenery. Looking around for a moment, he asked, Miss, how much further do we have to go? Renee didn't answer immediately, looking back at him with an inscrutable, cold expression. Seeing that, he explained immediately, I have no reason to leave the grounds, so I'm not very familiar with the surrounding terrain. At this moment, Renee replied, we're almost there, we only need to get past that spot. After a long time crossing mountains and hills in silence, Adele hesitantly broke the silence. Surely we're almost there. Renee maintained her cold demeanor and replied briefly, yeah. Finally, the two arrived at the territory. Adele said, looks like we've made it. The landscape outside the territory was desolate beyond description, with ruins scattered everywhere in the ground so barren that not a single blade of grass could grow. Witnessing such devastation, Renee couldn't help but feel indignant, damn it, that spawn of Cerberus. Adele muttered to himself, I'm sure she meant to call it a bastard. He thought, I have to hide the fact that I have arson blood from Renee at any cost. He continued to think, I'm the only one who knows the way into the territory. After scouting for a while, he told Renee, I think we can get in by digging here. She replied immediately, yeah. Deep beneath the largest stone statue were rot-filled soldiers guarding the land. Once they finished digging, the cover of the tunnel leading to the immortal territory was revealed, engraved with exquisite ancient symbols and patterns. Adele determined it was definitely the entrance. Adele took the initiative, I'll lead the way, but Renee refused, no, I'm going first. Deep inside was a corridor lit by blazing torches.